Mamas, if you've been breastfeeding, you know how convenient it is to be able to take baby wherever you want. Just pop out a boob when they're crying or hungry, and just, give them what they need. But sometimes you have to go back to work, or you have to go back to school, or, you just want to have a date with your partner, and so you choose to start pumping. And so you're wondering, how do I start that process, and what does that look like? So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the basics of pumping. I'm Bridget, and I'm a doula in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I love helping moms love their birth. Mamas, I'm going to be sharing some products that I love in this video, so if you hear some that you're interested in or you just want to take a look at, I will link them down below, so make sure you check those out. First thing that I want to say, mamas, is that just because you are breastfeeding, it doesn't mean that you have to pump. So it's really dependent on your circumstance. If you are returning back to work, or you're just going to be away from your baby from an extended period of time, or you just want to have a little bit of independence from your baby. And so those are reasons why you might want to pump. But if you're around your baby 24/7, you probably aren't going to need to start pumping. So first things first, when you are starting off your pumping journey, is to pick the pump that is going to be best suited for you. So I use the Medela Pump in Style Advanced. It's not like the hospital grade ones that you can get that are really like forceful, but I don't need to have a ton of milk stored up, because I am with my daughter a lot of the time, except for when I'm with clients or with mamas who are giving birth, which is super fun. So this is the pump that I use, and it has just the very standard buttons that most pumps are going to have. So it has the minimum to maximum suction that's going to be removing the milk, and then it has the letdown button. So once my letdown has happened, it's able to transition into that expression mode. And so it has the two pump valves, and so I'm able to use this, and this is perfect for me and my situation. But if you are going to be at work from 9 to 5, then maybe you are going to want one that has a little more of the bells and whistles, or just something that's more suited for you. So this one is perfect for me, and so I will link this one down below. But I've also had friends who do have those 9 to 5 jobs who use the Spectra that they absolutely love, and so I'll make sure to link that down below too. One thing that they love about the Spectra is that it is a cordless one, so it's just with battery, or they can charge it. I'm not exactly sure, but I will link that one down below as well. And the reason why they really like that is so that it can just go with them wherever, and so maybe they're filing papers or putting books away, whatever that may look like, they're able to kind of be more mobile. And so I know that that's really helpful in the workplace as well. And so I will link both of those down below. There are also more powerful ones, and they are the hospital grade pumps, and so definitely talk to your care provider about that, because they often will be able to rent them out to you. And if they don't do that, talk to your insurance provider, and they sometimes will cover the cost of that hospital grade pump for you. So after you found a pump that you love, the next question you might be asking yourself is, when should I start pumping? And it really depends on your circumstance. So, if you are planning on going back to work in 9 months or 6 months, maybe you don't need to start pumping right away. But if you are planning to, go back to work, or, just be away from baby for an extended period of time, relatively close to after baby is being born, it's not a bad idea to start pumping a little bit earlier than that. So usually I recommend that the first month, or those first 3 weeks, you just really enjoy that time with baby. You don't need to start pumping. Just kind of get the hang of it between you and baby and what that's going to be like. But then I recommend starting before that 6-week mark. And the reason I recommend that is because at around 6 weeks is when your milk starts to regulate, and that's when your body is saying, okay, we know how much milk is being removed from the breast, and so we know how much to produce. And so if you want to be able to be building your stash along with nursing your baby, then you need to be telling your body that it needs maybe a little bit more than just what your baby needs. It needs, those extra few ounces that you are pumping to store away. So starting, before that 6-week mark is really going to help your body know how much to produce in order to be able to remove that much. If you do want to start building that stash a little bit earlier without having to pump, I really recommend using the Haakaa pump, and it's just a silicone pump that I absolutely love. So if there's anything that you get from today's video, it's this pump. So the Haakaa silicone pump is basically a dream. But a lot of times when baby is nursing at the beginning, why this is super special, or not special, but awesome, is that a lot of times baby's only going to nurse on one side. And so then you're like, okay, well, what do I do with this gigantic boob full of milk, right? This is where the Haakaa really comes in handy and really helps with establish and start building that supply or that stash for later. And basically what you do, you just pull the lip back and you put it onto where your nipple is and you let it release. And then what it's going to do is just suction the nipple and then start extracting the milk from the boob, and then it'll just slowly fill up. And so it's just a really great way to easily, while you're nursing, start getting that milk out and building that small stash little by little. So we just talked about when you should start pumping, but now we're going to answer what time of the day should I start pumping. So usually your first nurse in the morning is going to be when you produce the most milk. And so I always recommend that after baby has eaten first thing in the morning, it's a good time to, within the first 30 minutes or an hour, or at least a full hour before baby is going to eat next, that you get your first pump in. So apart from pumping in the morning, it's also not a bad idea to pump between sessions. So, I just said that you are going to want to pump, 30 minutes after you've fed baby, or a full hour before baby's going to eat next. And that's just, to make sure that you are getting optimal milk expression, but also, having enough for baby to eat, when they want to eat. And so if you are going to pump between sessions, do it about 30 minutes after you've, just fed baby. And like I said, that full hour before baby is going to want to eat next. And if baby, you've just finished pumping and baby's like, I want to eat right now, don't worry, put them on the breast. There's going to be more milk, the boob really doesn't ever run out of milk, which is good to know. So put them on the breast, and that's just going to stimulate more milk. And so that's really good when you're wanting to, build that supply for your freezer stash. And so just put baby on the breast if they are crying for milk after you've just pumped. So if baby's maybe now a few months old, and you're just now starting to implement a pumping routine, and baby's sleeping through the night a little bit longer, which is super amazing, yay mom, good for you. It's not a bad idea to pump right before you go to bed. And that way, you're able to go longer stretches without feeling too engorged. And it's just a good time for you to be able to get milk into that freezer stash. So, I said first thing in the morning and then right before you go to bed, if baby is starting to sleep longer stretches at night. Last point that I want to make with that is that if you are away from baby, you want to be nursing about every 2 to 4 hours. So if it's 1 p.m. and you would be nursing baby if they were with you, then it's a good time to pump around that time as well. So anytime that you miss a feeding with baby is a good time to be pumping, because that's going to signal to your body that your milk is being removed, and so it needs to produce more, and that way you can again start building your stash right then and there. So I do want to add that if you are exclusively breastfeeding and then trying to add in pump sessions, it is really normal to just get 1/2 to 2 ounces total for that pumping session. And it might take a few pump sessions in order to, make the equivalent of 1 full feeding for baby. And so, if that's happening to you, don't be discouraged and think I should be getting 4 ounces every time I pump. Know that baby is really good at, getting that milk out, removing that milk, and is better than the pump is. And so it's really normal for, if you are exclusively breastfeeding, that you don't get as much milk than maybe what baby is getting when they eat. Just like with breastfeeding, it's important that pumping is a comfortable experience for you. And so part of making it comfortable for you and efficient or effective is having the right flange size. And so this part is the flange, and this is a 24 millimeter. And basically you want to make sure that, the nipple is, just right in the middle. I don't know if you probably can't see that. But if it is too tight, it's going to pinch the nipple, and you're going to tell because it can't properly suck. It won't go all the way in. It'll just go you probably can't see that. but it'll just be uncomfortable. If your nipple is, or if the flange is too small for your nipple, then it's going to be uncomfortable, or if it's too big, it's not going to be as effective in getting milk out. So you just want to make sure that your pump flange is the right size for you. The next part in making it comfortable and effective when you're pumping is to make sure that you have the right settings at the right time when you're pumping. So what I mean by that is that when you are starting off pumping, so I'm going to show you on this one, and it's probably going to look different if you have a different pump. But for me, when I start off pumping, I start off very low on the minimum suction. So I don't go all the way high. And I know some women are like, I'm just going to start it really high. I don't care if it hurts. I just want the most milk. But remember, when you are nursing your baby, you are going to have the best experience, which means the most milk production and removal when you are not stressed out, when you are enjoying that time with baby. And so that's sort of true with pumping as well. If you are like causing yourself pain and it's like stressful, you're not going to have as great of milk output. So start on the lowest one and slowly work your way up until it is the strongest suction without pain. And at first, when you turn it on, it's going to be that stimulating suck. So it's like faster, and that's exactly what baby does when they first latch. And then after about 2 minutes, or sometimes it's 30 seconds, or it's just whenever you feel like your milk has come down, you're going to want to press the let down button, and that's going to turn it into a slower express mode. And so you're going to want to press that in order to get like the most out of your pumping session. Another thing that's going to help with really getting the most out of your milk expression is using massage and compression while you're pumping. And so basically, after you have like a good flange and you've started pumping, and even before you've had any letdown, you can be massaging your breast just lightly. It doesn't need to be hard, just around with your fingers, and just kind of like small circular movements. And then once you've let down, you can alternate between compressing right around the areola. So you don't want it like right in here, because that's going to break the suction. So you're not squeezing your nipple, you're squeezing your breast right above the areola, like I said. And you're going to see, if you're doing it correctly, you're going to see like a stronger, more forceful or continuous spray of milk than if you weren't doing anything. And you just alternate between compressions and then massage, and that's going to really help with output while you're pumping. So once you have gotten your bottle full of milk, and like I said, it might be 1/2 ounce to 2 ounces if you are a breastfeeding mom. Don't be discouraged if it's around that amount. Or I know some women who produced 10 ounces during a pumping sesh while they're breastfeeding. So every mom is different. Don't be discouraged if you're one way or the other. But it is important to know how to store your breast milk once you have expressed it from your breast. So once you've ended your pumping session and your milk has been expressed, if you are keeping it at a room temperature, you're going to want to make sure that baby drinks it by 6 hours at the most. Ideally, you want it around 3 or 4 hours, but 6 hours at the most. Either have baby drink it or put it in the fridge or in the freezer. Now, if you have taken milk out from the freezer and it's been thawed and sitting at room temperature, baby needs to drink it within 1 to 2 hours. If you are putting your milk just into the refrigerator, you can keep it there for up to a week. Unless it's in the door, then I would say probably closer to like 4 or 5 days, just because it's not keeping it as consistently cold as if it were like in the rear part of the refrigerator. And if you have freezer milk that has been thawed in the refrigerator, it should only be there for 24 hours before baby needs to drink it. If you are putting your milk directly in the freezer, it can be in there for up to 6 months. And I think even if it's a deep freezer, which like you don't open a whole lot, like they're the ones that you keep in your garage or your basement, it can stay in there for up to a year, which is really cool. When you are thawing milk, this is a little tip for you. It is best to do it in the refrigerator. So I know even for myself, I've done this, I forget that I need to grab a bag of milk. And so I grab it from the freezer and I put it in a warm cup of water. And that will, take away some of the nutrients from the breast milk. And so the best way to thaw your breast milk from the freezer is to let it do it usually overnight in the refrigerator. How do you keep track of all of these different times and dates for this milk? It's a good idea to mark your breast milk bags with the date and, even the time, if you are having to do it all throughout the day, just so that you know that you are using up, the oldest milk first before the newest milk. Another tip for you guys, if you are freezing your milk, if you want to optimize storage space, is to not put quite as much milk in the bags and then lay them flat. And that way, the bags are going to freeze flatter with less milk in them. So it just really optimizes the space in your freezer than if you were to fill up the bag and stick them upright, and then they're going to be kind of like triangular. I can't do that, but you get the picture. So that's just a little tip for you, that if you are doing a freezer stash, it's a good idea to, maybe just do like 5 ounces ish, and so that it can lay flat. And then once it's frozen, it will save you a lot of space. So pumping is a different experience than nursing is, and so you might notice that, when you're pumping, you're not actually expressing as much as you thought like you would, or as much as you would want. And the reason why that's the case is because when you are nursing your baby, it's this deeply emotional and like bonding experience with them. And since most of us aren't in love with our plastic pump bottles, it's not going to be that emotional bonding experience like it is with our baby. So maybe if you've just started pumping, or even if you've been pumping for a while and you're just like, wait, did I have like a drop-in supply? It might just be that there's a difference between that nursing experience and that pumping experience. And so I just want to encourage you not to stress out about, the amount that's on the bottle, the number of ounces that you get on the bottle. Focus on what you are accomplishing, which is providing nutrients for your baby that no one else could give them like you are uniquely giving them. So that is a huge accomplishment, and try not to stress out, about all of the things that you're not doing, but focus on the amazing, incredible things that you are doing. I know it's easier said than done, but mama, please don't stress. Stress can impact your milk supply, and that's what a lot of mamas who are pumping talk about, is that the stress of pumping can oftentimes, affect their supply. So I just really want to encourage you, find pumping support groups. They're out there. Check Instagram. And then if you do need help, I am going to be doing a whole video talking about how to provide a very abundant supply of milk. So make sure you are on the lookout for that video. And that's for exclusively breastfeeding mamas as well as pumping mamas if you are feeling like you just need a boost in your supply. So be on the watch for that one. The last thing I want to share with you guys is this manual pump that you can use. And I love this thing because you can take it anywhere. You don't have to bring your whole pump if you don't want to. And basically it just screws on to, the pump bottle that you have, and you can take it wherever you want. So this is really great if you are, going on a day trip, or if you are just going on vacation and don't want to bring this big old thing. And so it's just a really great resource tool to have, and I will link this down below. And this is one of my favorite little breastfeeding toys that I have. So I hope this video has helped you if you are just starting out on your pumping journey, or if you are, already starting and you just have some doubts or questions. I hope this really encouraged you and gave you the answers that you need. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, mamas.